Start with a captivating, cinematic field step into the Colosseum. The roar of 80,000 spectators thunders in your ears. The sun beats down on the sand, stained with centuries of struggle. We've all seen the movies, right? Russell Crowe in Gladiator, a noble hero fighting for vengeance and freedom. We imagine chiseled warriors, masters of combat, living and dying by the sword with honor. This is the image Hollywood has sold us, a thrilling, romanticized vision of ancient Rome's most famous spectacle. But what if I told you that much of what we think we know is a carefully constructed fantasy, that the reality of the Gladiator Games was far darker, more complex, and in many ways, more bizarre than you could ever imagine? Today, we read pulling back the curtain on the grandest show on earth to uncover the dark truth about the Roman Gladiator Games. So, who were these gladiators? Really? Were they all slaves condemned to a brutal death? Well, not exactly. The gladiator population was surprisingly diverse. Yes, a large number were prisoners of war, condemned criminals, and slaves sold to a gladiator school, known as a asterisk. Ludus asterisk. For them, it wasn't a choice. It was a sentence. Te were seen. As asterisk infamia, aesthetis gadist, at the very bottom of the social ladder, with no legal rights. But here's the first twist. A significant and growing number of gladiators were volunteers. These were free men, sometimes even from noble families, who willingly signed a contract with a asterisk lanista asterisk, the owner of a gladiator school. Why would anyone do this? The allure of fame, prize, money, and pure adrenaline was a powerful draw. For a Dauhan Hisluk, former soldier, or a man buried in debt, the arena offered a path to glory and riches that was otherwise impossible. They swore a sacred oath, the Sacramentum Gladiatorium, to be burned, to be bound, to be beaten, and to be killed by the sword. They were essentially trading their freedom and social standing for a chance at stardom. Life inside a asterisk, Ludus asterisk, was anything but glamorous. Imagine a combination of a military barracks and a high-security prison. Gladiators lived in small cells, under a strict regimen of constant, grueling training. But this wasn't just mindless hacking and slashing. They were highly specialized professional athletes. Each gladiator was trained in a specific fighting style, with unique weapons and armor, almost like characters in a video game. Tere was the asterisk, Riciarius asterisk, who fought with a net and trident, nimble and lightly armored. He was often pitted against the heavily armed asterisk, Secutor asterisk, whose helmet had only 2 small eye holes to protect against the trident's prongs. You had the asterisk, Threx asterisk, with a small shield and a curved sword, and the asterisk, Murmillo asterisk, with his fish-crested helmet. These pairings were carefully calculated for maximum entertainment, balancing different strengths and weaknesses to create a dynamic show. Their diet was also meticulously controlled. It wasn't the high-protein diet you might expect. Archaeological evidence from a gladiator graveyard in Ephesus shows their bones had high levels of strontium, indicating a diet rich in barley and beans. They were essentially carb loading, which created a layer of fat. This wasn't because they were out of shape. This layer of fat actually helped protect underlying nerves and muscles from superficial cuts, allowing them to bleed spectacularly for the crowd without being taken out of the fight too quickly. It was all part of the show. Now, let's address the biggest misconception of all. The idea that every fight ended in death, the classic thumbs-down gesture from the emperor, sealing a gladiator's fate. It's probably a myth, or at least a misunderstanding. Historians now believe the gesture was more likely a thumb tucked into a closed fist, symbolizing a sheathed sword, meaning mercy, or a thumb pointed towards the throat, signaling death. But the decision wasn't always up to the emperor alone. The crowd's reaction, the asterisk, clamor asterisk, played a huge role. But here's the crucial point. Gladiators were incredibly valuable assets. Think of them as multi-million-dollar racehorses, or prize fighters today. They were expensive to acquire, house, feed, and train. A asterisk, Lanista asterisk, wasn't eager to see his investment killed in their very first fight. The data we have suggested that a gladiator had a pretty good chance of surviving a given match. Most fights were probably fought to a first blood or until one fighter was disarmed and surrendered. Referees, or asterisk. Summa, Rudy's asterisk, oversaw the bouts to ensure rules were followed. A defeated gladiator would raise a finger to appeal for his life. If he had fought bravely and entertained the crowd, he was often granted asterisk missio, asterisk or merciand, allowed to live and fight another day. Of course, death was a constant, looming risk, and the average career was short and brutal. But it wasn't the automatic death sentence we often assume. The games weren't just about one-on-one duels, though. They were a full-day, state-sponsored extravaganza of carnage. The morning session, the Asterix Venations Asterix, featured wild animal hunts, exotic beasts from every corner of the empire. Tigers, bears, elephants. Crocodiles were pitted against armed hunters, called asterisk bestiarii. This was a display of Rome's power, showing that the empire could conquer not just men, but nature itself. The scale was horrifying. During the inauguration of the Colosseum, it said that over 9,000 animals were slaughtered. Then came the midday executions, the darkest part of the spectacle. This was when condemned criminals, the asterisk, noxi asterisk, were executed in gruesome theatrical ways. They were sometimes burned alive, crucified, or forced to reenact grisly myths, being mauled by animals without any weapons to defend themselves. This was the halftime show, designed as a grim warning to the populace about the consequences of defying Roman law. For the Roman elite, this was justice served. For the victims, it was unimaginable terror. The main event, the gladiator combats, took place in the afternoon, serving as the thrilling climax to a day soaked in blood. So why? Why were the Romans so obsessed with these brutal games? It wasn't just bloodlust. The games served a vital political and social function. This was bread and circuses, a phrase coined by the poet Juvenal. By providing free food and spectacular, expensive entertainment, the emperors kept the massive, often restless population of Rome distracted and happy. It was a powerful tool of social control. The games reinforced the Roman social order. They showed the bravery and skill of the fighters, celebrated military values, and demonstrated the emperor's immense power and generosity. Watching a man face death with courage was seen as a virtuous lesson for the citizens. It was also a justice system on public display, where the fate of criminals and the courage of warriors played out for all to see. The arena was a microcosm of the Roman world, a place of violence, order, spectacle, and control, where life and death were the ultimate entertainment. The gladiator, this figure of both shame and adoration, stands as a chilling symbol of Rome's genius for spectacle and its capacity for breathtaking cruelty. The truth is, they weren't just movie heroes. They were cogs in the sophisticated machine of propaganda, entertainment, and terror. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to ancient Rome. If you found this glimpse into the gladiators' world as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what historical topic you'd like us to explore next. Until then, stay curious.